everyone. Welcome to my weekly messages. I'm Jelaila Star. You know, there's a lot of people having these dreams of cataclysms and planets spinning out into space and, desolation and floods and fires and all that. And it seems to be hitting a crescendo lately. It's like more and more people are talking about these dreams. And the big thing they're wondering is this, foretelling the future? And that's very disturbing if it is, because a lot of people are like getting these and we're like, oh, when a lot of people do one thing, it's like the 100th monkey syndrome. Does that mean it's actually going to happen? Well, because it's become such a big concern, I thought I'd do a weekly message on it, give you a different perspective. Now, a lot of these people are connecting to Nibiru because of, Nibiru's around. I mean, it's nearby. But it's kind of going outbound now, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, from what I'm understanding, the reason that we're having all these dreams, it's not because it's foretelling the future. It's triggering our ancient memories of past catastrophes related to Nibiru, only because Nibiru's nearby right now. Otherwise, they'd be about something else. But anyway, here's my theory on this. Just like Barbara Marciniak wrote in her book, Catastrophophobia, and I encourage everybody to get that book and read it. We have in our mass consciousness all the memories of everybody. Everything you ever do is held in the mass consciousness, i.e. the mass Akashic records for the planet. So as a result, it's also in our DNA. And just like any trauma that happens to you, all it takes is an event in the current time or the present time to trigger that old memory. And it brings it back to life. So when you have events going on that are affecting millions of people around the world, and then they're happening repeatedly. I mean, it's like right now we're having these winter storms that are happening every week. That's going to trigger any memories on a collective level that are associated with those current events. So right now, what I think is happening is that we are triggering the ancient memories of some of the less than exciting passings of Nibiru, some of them which actually did cause a pole flip in the past. And as I said, it's because we're having this repeated stressor, or trigger, which in this case it's these storms. And then it's in the summer, in the northern hemisphere, it's causing tremendous cold, and in the south, it's causing tremendous heat, in the South Pole. So anyway, these are not necessarily due to Nibiru herself passing, because as I understand it, she's already passed. She's already on the other side of the sun and is on her way outbound. But what we're experiencing now is the effects of the small planets, comets, large, asteroids, things like that are on the back of her solar system. Because as it's been explained many times, and there's other people not just me who talk about this, Nibiru is a sun that never ignited, but it has all the other characteristics of a sun, including planets that orbit it. Not just planets, but comets, just like we have comets that orbit our sun. Nibiru has her own solar system. So she's got planets orbiting in the front that will precede her wherever she goes, and there are planets in the back. We call them the entourage that will come behind her. Well, as I understand it, she's already gone around the sun, like I said, but what we're seeing is the back end. And depending on where we are in our orbit around the sun, we will come in contact with some of her planets. And at the same time, she, just like our planets orbit on ring nodes, which are like hula hoops, her planets are orbiting on ring nodes like hula hoops. And those ring nodes are highly magnetic, so they can lock onto our core because we're orbiting this way, she's orbiting that way, so she can lock onto our core with one of her ring nodes, and that can affect us. Now, if it's a strong enough lock, it can flip the poles of our planet, because, you know, we're much smaller than she's the sun, right? We're like this and she's like this. But if it is a lesser ring node, maybe further out, that is not as strong, she can cause our polar vortex to wobble and destabilize. The polar vortex is like at the poles, there's a spinning action that basically controls the jet stream. I'm not a scientist on this. I'm giving you very layman terms explanation. And if something is affecting our core, it can destabilize, slow down, or make that spinning, that rotation erratic. It's like a little tornado up there that keeps everything going. You know, like when you're spinning a top. Well, when the top slows down, the spinning slows down, the top will fall over. So this is what's occurring. And so something's hitting our core that's causing that spinning to slow. When it slows at the North Pole, what will occur is that mass of cold air will escape. And like letting air out of a balloon a little bit at a time, and cold air goes south. So what's happening is we're having these massive blasts of cold air, and that's actually pushing our jet stream. It's affecting our jet stream, because the jet stream is also controlled by the spinning at the poles, you know, keeping it regular. If the poles somehow go erratic, that makes the jet stream somewhat erratic. I know there's a much more, like I said, scientific explanation, but I'm not a scientist. So I think you get my idea. So what's interesting is that these winter storms are coming almost like clockwork. So you can imagine that there is a spinning that has slowed, causing these masses of cold air to escape at certain points, and they're going south and causing these storms. Well, that, because it's repeated, is a great stressor, and that triggers our ancient memories. But because we don't realize what they are, we're playing them out in our dreams. And not only that, it's not just playing, it's playing out all kinds of old memories associated. It's may not necessarily, I can't even talk today, not necessarily be connected to Nibiru, but it's triggering something that was a traumatic event. And if we've been on this earth any length of time, we've lived through a pole shift, or a major, not so nice passing of Nibiru. Now, like I said in the past, we're out of the woods for the worst of it. We're not going to have a pole shift. What we're experiencing, these polar vortexes, is minor compared to a pole shift, but they're still not pleasant, and it's the worst that we're going to have. Secondly, by the late part of the summer of this year, we should be through the worst of it. The back end of Nibiru's entourage should be past us, and our weather should start to stabilize toward winter and on into next year. So we've gotten through the worst of it. But here's the thing. We can still affect this. We affected the fact that we created the easy passing. It wasn't God. It was us. We did the work. That's what all the guides, all the teachers, all the channelings for the last 30, 40 years have been about, is helping us affect the change that we needed to avoid a pole shift. And it looks like we have, because by 2013, we should have had Florida underwater. We should have had California southern coastline underwater. We should have had other land masses underwater. The United States should have been 2 massive islands separated by a big inland sea by now, because of New Madrid Fault giving way. None of that has occurred. So we can pat ourselves on the back. We have all done this. Which means we can affect this damage that is going to have long-term results, because when it's weather-related, it can cause a decimation of crops. It can cause food shortages that will last for years to come. We can affect that now by continually to do our work. But the problem is, because so many people are affected, when you're stressed, you're not thinking clearly. And so you need a little help. So that brings me to the next thing. A bunch of teachers are starting to get this message that we need to start giving you free time, free session time to work with your guides as a way to kind of help you find your center again. So one that turned me on to the idea was Nancy Joy Heffron. Her website is heartlights.net. She's doing it as well. I don't know about who all else, but I've heard from other teachers that they're going to, but I haven't got any confirmed reports yet. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you 15 minutes of free time to work with your guides, and we'll call in your guides. You just have to call me to schedule the appointment. And then, we'll take it from there. But I'm doing this because I feel like we all need to step up. All of us who can help others as teachers, we need to step up and help and help everybody out there to kind of find your balance. So that's my point. And if we can continue to do our clearing and find our balance and be happy, because when you're happy, you create more reason to be happy. We can affect these polar vortexes, and we can stop this. We can minimize a lot of this from happening, and we can shorten this cycle from the end of September to maybe closer, and we can lessen the severity of these storms. If we can, if we can clear one issue, and we can drop a tidal wave by 50 feet, then we can do this with the vortexes. So plenty of evidence to show that, but I'm not going to get into that right now because I don't have time. But anyway, there's your thing. This is my gift to you. If you want the 15 minutes, call me and we'll schedule it. One per person. Okay? And I will talk to you next week. Take care. Have a good one. And please be happy. It helps us all.